Right, here's the thing. I want to go to XL now, Dom, but I've got an angle that's interesting for you. Because on the one hand, unfortunately, XL doesn't really have any sexy storyline for this playoffs. Like, even Vitality has, well, they've got Perks, they've got Alfari, wow, they have to prove so much, they have all that. XLs, like we said, they can actually just lose every match. It's not even like that's a diss. Like, you did your job, you made it through, get better in summer. Right, so I'm trying to think of angles that are interesting. Here's the problem I have. On the one hand, if I had to go for some, like, weird angle, they do, if you look at all the jungles and supports in the playoffs, theirs is actually sort of sleeper better than you initially realised. Like, as you say, Marcoon's had a pretty decent split, especially on his champions, he was good, and Mickey X actually has looked pretty good since he joined, sort of helped turn the team around. The problem they have is this, that's great, but at the end of the day, you do also have to have firepower to win the game, and my problem is this, dude. The best player of the laners is clearly Patrick, and mate, isn't he just going to get completely fucked by A, no jinx, just ban that immediately, and B, I looked this up, dude, he isn't a Kai'Sa player. He's only played Kai'Sa 12 times. He's only won it 3 times. That's his whole career. This might be brutal for XL. This might be a brutal playoff run, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think so it's weird because I think that Vitality will win, but I think that Vitality's worst series might be against XL, similarly to how Fnatic's worst series was actually in the first round Fnatic's worst series, in my opinion, last split was against Vitality in the first round before they went on that huge run.
That was the ultimate coin flip series, if no one saw it. Like, anyone could have won that.
Yeah, exactly. People forget that it went to 5 games, and then Fnatic didn't just look like the second best team in the playoffs.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, when I look at this series, I feel like XL just might benefit from the fact that they do really have nothing to lose. Like, they're really playing with house money here. So
yes.
I wonder if they're going to pull out anything that's really interesting. I mean, Nuke Duck is normally the type of guy that just has, the crazy ideas. There might be something that he's onto.
Is there any weird shit in mid that's coming in? Because, like you say, he nearly always does try to pioneer, like, the fringe pick, like, and something like a fucking, like the sauna pick or whatever the fuck he did earlier. Is there anything that you can see on the fringes that might come in?
So I think AD mids are coming back. So, like, maybe, like, on the fringes.
You think he might pull out, like, Zed or some shit? Is there anything like that?
I think there could be a random Zed, but that's, like, very specific in the matchup.
Sure.
I would say, like, maybe a Tristana mid is something I think could be interesting.
Okay.
Like,
by the way, that's a pretty good champ. You've been watching LCS. What a pretty good scaling champ. Can do a lot in team fights. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's some interesting things that they could be doing there, especially if, like, you're willing to play AP bot laners. Like,
I know back in the day, he definitely played some Yasuo games, so maybe there's a possibility for that as well.
Yeah, Yasuo Diana could be something that they could play. So I think that there's some interesting things that could be pulled out. I mean, what I would hate to see is them just go into the playoffs and play like Victor and Corki and like nerfed Corki and nerfed Victor. Or I guess Victor is not super nerfed, I don't believe. But I mean, just these types of boring champions and sitting their scale and then just get like their face beat in later on. I want to see something spicy out of Nuke Duck because I feel like that's the only way that this team actually has like some advantages. I mean, obviously, if a team early picks Aatrox like they did, like Mad Lions did against XL, yeah, you have the Finn Kled, like you have those types of picks. I think the problem is that like if Alfari just sticks to like his champions and he's just playing champions like GP and Gnar and all this stuff. I mean, even if Finn gets a counter pick Aurelia or whatever, I don't expect him to actually do super well. Like Jace for Alfari, these types of things. I feel like this is going to be a really tough matchup for him.
By the way, I've got a question along those lines. I'm always interested, like in philosophy in the draft, what you actually think makes the most sense. So I'll give you an example. Obviously, I mean, he even had a game this split. Everyone knows like Kled is like the fucking signature favorite champion of Finn, right? If it's a case like that though, Dom, where it's not that it's a really strong meta champion, it's just one that he specifically picks. When is it actually worth wasting a ban on that? Do you just ban it in the sense that, like you say, you don't think he's good on the meta champion? Is that not a waste of a ban sometimes in the phase?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a waste of the ban almost every time for Vitality because I think Alfari's a strong enough laner. Like, the problem is that Kled doesnking counter that much stuff that's in the meta right now. Like, what is Kled going to actually play into that you're happy to play into, right? Like, I mean, if you play against, I'm thinking about all the Alfari champions. I mean, you don't want to be playing Kled versus Jace. Maybe if you have some draft where you're like going to fucking camp the shit out of top lane, maybe you could do that where you have like a Ryze and plus a ganking jungler and you just try to gank top all the time. But like, I just think that Kled is not it. I think the Aurelia could be a good use of a ban because Aurelia does well into Gnar, and I feel like Gnar is just one of the picks that Alfari is just much better on than most people. It just seems like he can get lane advantages with that champion that most people can't. Like if you look at most Gnar players, they're just even in CS, but when Alfari plays Gnar, he's like up 20, 30 CS. It just looks like he has a ton of pressure in the side lane. So I don't think we'll see Kled out of him in this playoffs. I just don't know what he would actually pick it into out of Alfari's champions. Maybe the Renekton is something that Alfari likes to play, and like Kled doesn't win that matchup, but like it's one of those things where if you get a gank at the right time and Kled gets an early kill, Kled can like get an advantage there. But outside of that, I mean, I just don't think that it will come in much. I mean, you don't want to be playing it into like a really good GP player. You don't want to be playing it into a really good Gnar player, any of this. So I think that one's going to be hard. I think, yeah, if I was going to expect a spicy pick out of Finn, I guess it would just be the Aurelia.
And when you said earlier about the potential like jungle shifts, how would that affect Marcoon? I don't know if you didn't name check him, did you?
So I think it's interesting, but I actually feel like his champions will work well. I mean, when he came into LEC in summer, one of last year, one of the things that he was really good at was the Volibear. And that seems to be like coming back with heavy prio. So I think that will work really well. Like going from like playing Xin to Volibear, I think is fine. I think him playing Hecarim would be fine. I'm not sure if I would trust him the most on a champion like Viego. It seems like he's more like he's better at just like the bruiser style, like showing up to objectives at the right points, like making the intelligent plays with his lane prio, like stacking drakes, things like that. So I think that with like the small jungle meta shift, because jungle hasn't shifted too much, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, I don't think that XL has the tools to like have any draft advantages outside of potentially mid lane. So maybe like they run something like a Kaisa Tristana where they complement their damage like that, or they're running some type of like AP bot laner like Ziggs, which we saw a little bit of in LCK today actually, from Duckdom as an interesting pick that you can pick if you're looking to run an AD mid. So yeah.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.